This is Franchise Today, brought to you by FRM Solutions, providers of the best-in-class software solutions for franchise relationship management. Franchise Today is your destination for weekly information, conversations, and interviews with accomplished industry leaders, all of whom share best practices for sustainable growth and sensible franchising. Here now, your host, Stan Friedman, to kick off this week's podcast.
Today is Wednesday, June 19th. 2024, Juneteenth in the USA. I'm Stan Friedman, and this is Franchise Today. Well, this week is another in my Rising Stars of Franchising genre. We are joined today by Erin Fletter, founder, CEO, and overall food nerd-in-chief at Sticky Fingers Cooking Schools. A newbie to franchising, but as you'll hear, no novice to childhood enrichment as a core competency, nor as a business. This woman has her shtick together and has taken her time to get it right the first time. Erin Fletter coming right up this week on Franchise Today. But first, our thanks to Tom Kraus, CEO at Donato's Pizza, for checking all the boxes for us here last week. Tom is as entertaining as he is informative, and we thank him for stopping by. Also, don't forget to hit the website at franchisetodaypodcast.com. Leave your reviews, view show notes and summaries, and make guest recommendations. I'm always happy to hear from you, and your thoughts, comments, and suggestions are always invited and appreciated. Okay, with all of that behind us, this is Franchise Today. I'm Stan Friedman. A quick break here, and I'll return in 2 minutes or less with Franchise Today's Q2 of 2024 Rising Star in Franchising, Erin Fletter, founder and CEO of Sticky Fingers Cooking Schools. Stick around.
Franchise Today will be right back, but first, a word from our sponsors.
We are all familiar with Vistage, YPO, and EO. Well, now comes Zor Forum, a somewhat similar type of executive group, but this one comes with a twist. Zor Forum groups are exclusively for franchisors. Imagine a peer group for sharing and networking on a platform built exclusively for franchise executives. Zor Forum members are afforded unparalleled access to best practices and some of the brightest minds within the franchising world through regular meetings and a dedicated communications platform. In this post-COVID world, a franchise-specific mastermind or peer group is an endeavor worth making time for. Zor Forum groups of 6 to 10 will bring leaders together that are in similar situations, but with exclusivity in terms of their competitive sets, so that each can openly help others benefit from their respective knowledge, perspective, and experience with no fear of competitive loss. Network, learn, strategize, and remain motivated along your journey. Join a peer group, not just any peer group. Join the only one designed for emerging franchisors. Join Zor Forum. Learn more at zorforum.com. That's www.zorforum.com. Erin Fletter has the recipe to ignite a lifetime love of healthy cooking and adventurous eating for kids. It's called Sticky Fingers Cooking Schools, and it inspires the next generation of great American chefs. Kids learn by doing, and Sticky Fingers Cooking has created programs for schools, camps, and community centers nationwide. It's a place where children engage in hands-on cooking activities, ensuring learning is both educational and deliciously fun, while franchisees delight by combining the joys of cooking, eating, and making learning about good nutrition, food history, math, science, and global cultures fun and part of the mission. Cooking is an essential life skill, and when kids stay after school to learn more, parents are happy too. Here, to dish on it all, Sticky Fingers Cooking Schools founder and CEO, Erin Fletter. Erin Fletter, welcome to Franchise Today.
Thank you, Stan. It's awesome to be here.
Proud to have you here, Erin. You're one of those people who has a real charm about her when you approach people like me on LinkedIn, because I'm usually not very patient for people that approach me with what they think is something that I need or something that they have that I have to have. When they don't even know who I am or what I do, but they come at you strong wanting to sell you something. And your approach was anything but that. In fact, you came to me in a very, very humble fashion, and I'm I'm always gracious to people who tell me I listen to your podcast. Well, you're my friend right out of the gate. It goes an awful long way. And your approach to me was intriguing, and I appreciated finding out how wrong I was when you wrote to me and said you wanted to be on my podcast, and you told me you had like 3 or 4, maybe 5 franchises. And I had to explain to you that it might be a little early for this audience. But we do the Rising Stars of Franchising for a reason once a quarter, and you earned your slot by virtue of that conversation that we shared. So, Erin, I sincerely mean it. Welcome to Franchise Today.
That's incredible. Stan, thank you so much. You've just been so generous with your time, and I'm in awe of everything that you've built over your career. And so it's a great honor to be able to speak to you and actually to call you my friend. I feel you're so welcoming, and I thank you very much.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's what we do. It's what people that have succeeded in franchising have had success doing, is that very thing. It's paying it forward. And when people on the other side are people who are demonstrating that they're doing things right, it makes it all the more fun to be helpful. So why don't we do this? Let's peel the onion back. We're going to go a little further than I usually do. I usually ask people to take us back to the intersection of when franchising found them, but we need to go further back than that because your story begins with an earlier story. So take us back to how and why you began to build this business.
Oh, Sticky Fingers Cooking. It was really born from my kitchen table as a busy mom with 3 daughters. My husband is a restaurateur. He was working every night. We have a child that has some significant health concerns and type 1 diabetes, including some other health issues. And I really needed an untraditional job. I have always been very creative. I always wanted to do something that was important and gave back to the community. And I was around this intersection of not knowing what to do, also needing to really provide some meaningful income for our family as well. I was introduced to the after school enrichment space, which is, for those of you that are not familiar, it's relatively new. I'd say it's in the last 20 years, especially, where children stay after school at their own school and providers come in to teach them really awesome things. Like it might be taekwondo or badminton, something that maybe they've never tried before. It can be robotics. It can be Legos. It can be art and science, a lot of the things that have been cut from public schools. And I was really introduced to this concept through my children. And I thought, this is not only brilliant that children can now try all of these wonderful activities, see if they like something, be curious about something, maybe even ignite a new passion in them. And it's, a very low barrier for them to try it. And then as a parent, I'm just like, I don't have to drive across town. I have an extra hour and a half in my day. And it really got me thinking. I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial mindset. My husband and I have started businesses over the years, primarily in hospitality and restaurants. And looking at everything, I was like, wait, this could be a brilliant business as well, because it's non-brick and mortar. You can open up your business in every school in your community. So that was really how Sticky Fingers started. I wanted to be able to be very inclusive and include every child, regardless of their health condition, really based on my daughter, Ava. Also, any food allergies are accommodated. So really wanted to teach the love of cooking and the love of eating well to kids in our Denver community, learning math, science, all the wonderful skills and byproducts that you can learn from cooking, and especially global cultures and cuisine, because food is our universal human connector. We can learn anything from food.
There's a whole lot of truth to that. Tell us, what year was this?
That was in 2011. Really from my kitchen table, went out to 3 schools. 3 schools said yes, grew into 30 schools, grew into 300 schools. I really started working with my friends and my neighbors. My father, he was an impetus to get everything going. And my husband was a huge champion as well.
And then what year was it when the idea of franchising hit you upside your head?
I'm so happy to hear when people say that, because I definitely fell into franchising without really meaning to. And it it's actually an interesting story that is in about an 8-year incubation period. So as I said, starting Sticky Fingers Cooking from 2011 from my kitchen table, it just organically grew. We've always been a bootstrapped company, so to speak. Really, I put $5,000 of savings that we couldn't afford into starting Sticky Fingers Cooking. And then we just really, every penny went into the business. We organically grew from Denver, Boulder into the Chicago area, and then also into Austin as well. And so we had been successfully running our operations in 3 major markets in 3 states, lots of employees. And I was connected through my entrepreneur group. It's called Entrepreneurs Organization. And somebody reached out to me and said, you really need to meet this woman. Her name is Carrie Dorr, and she started an incredible franchise brand called Pure Bar. I'm sure you might be familiar with that brand.
Absolutely. Sure.
Yeah. And she had just relocated to Denver with her 3 young children, her awesome husband. And so I got this really nice organic connection with her. And I honestly had never thought about franchising. I'm sure this is a very traditional story I'm about to say, but I was like, franchising, that's McDonald's, right? I really didn't know anything about it. So she was the best kind of mentor to me, the kind that is so open, so vulnerable, and really shared her mistakes before sharing her wins. And it was enlightening. It was terrifying because I really took a look at how our systems were. This was 2015. I looked back at our systems. I was like, oh, yes, we are in 3 different markets. Everybody's doing things a little bit differently. And through her mentorship, through her experience share with me, and through her storytelling and telling me all about all the things that she did wrong and then all the things she did right, I was just like, franchising, we are not ready, and it's sort of scary. But what I did take away from that was not only having a wonderful mentor, but Carrie turned into a dear friend. And I really got those lessons from her about like, okay, our team, we need to look at systems. Stan, I'm a creative visionary. Doing systems and all of that is not my greatest and highest use. So I have always worked with people smarter than I am, more organized than I am. So really our team, we buckled down and did what I call the boring work and really looked at absolutely everything. Why do we do what we do? Document everything that we do. Have a system, have a plan for literally everything. And that took about 8 years, which then led me through the pandemic and our team through the pandemic. I really started, our systems were rock solid at that point. We also are a tech company. So we have this amazing proprietary technology platform that runs 85% of our company and operations. So everything was really dialed in. We were feeling really great going into 2020. And then boom, all the schools in the world shut down. All the restaurants in the world shut down. So my husband and I, what we built really was just like compromised overnight. We're not a unique story. But what it really did is that it gave me a moment to look at what it looks like for women in business. I started looking at statistics for this is pre-COVID, looking at the numbers. And, women are 51% of the population in the US. We own 41% of businesses, which sounds okay. But then you look even deeper and less than 2% of those businesses, Stan, they gross over $1 million a year. Something like 1.5% of women-owned businesses in the US gross over $1 million a year. I was horrified by that. I also then looked at what was happening around us during COVID. And women were the first to leave our jobs. I mean, we were taking care of small children at home, aging family members, community members. And even now, today, in 2024, 3 million women are slated not to come back to the workforce. And that really fired me up. It really fired up my team. We're 85% women run. And so we really thought, let's take another look at franchising. I made a little bet with myself, with my entrepreneur group, that I'd look into it. I did. And I didn't want to lose that bet. Had to hold myself accountable. And within 24 hours of sending out an SOS, an APB that I wanted to talk to franchise professionals, I was on the phone and on Zoom calls with 30 of the top professionals in franchising within 24 to 48 hours. It was incredible.
I wasn't on that hit list, was I?
Your name came up so many times. And I think that that's how I gained the courage to be able to send you that message on LinkedIn. I really do. I really do. Your name was on that list that I needed to talk to Stan Friedman. I needed to talk to John Francis, and I was connected pretty immediately, actually within 2 hours of sending out that SOS to my entrepreneur group. I was connected to Steve Biegelman. And so I'm a firm believer, as I said, working smarter, not harder, and also working with the top professionals. And so we've been working with Steve Biegelman and SMB from the beginning, which then led to, we want to work with the top attorneys. We want the best advice because we know how to run Sticky Fingers Cooking. We know how to cook with kids, but we've never been a franchisor before. And we want to be a responsible franchisor, and we want to be the best, and we want to be able to really support our franchise owners.
And so what year was that? Where were we now on the calendar?
Yeah, so we really connected, I would say I was at the end of 2022, and is when we kind of finalized our FDD. So I think it was 2021, summer of 2021 is when we did that second deep dive into franchising. And I mean, it was really interesting, Stan, because when I first met with Carrie Dorr 8 years ago, it was really interesting what came up. What came up was a lot of self-reflection and some insecurity, because after speaking to her, I knew that our systems weren't quite right. And you can't build a skyscraper, you can't build a house without a solid foundation. And so spending the last 8 years just making sure that our foundation and our systems were just like airtight, bulletproof, that when I was reintroduced into franchising and I started looking into it, I had a whole different lens because I wasn't insecure about Sticky Fingers Cooking. I wasn't insecure that we couldn't scale and grow and that we couldn't support franchise owners. I saw it as this incredible opportunity to change people's lives. We already knew that Sticky Fingers Cooking, what we do in the community, is so important. And we're a social enterprise. It's a win-win. We help the community, all the kids that we've taught 150,000 kids how to cook. It's just so much fun teaching kids how to cook and so impactful. But then paired with the franchise model, we could create small business owners across the US while spreading the goodness and the deliciousness of Sticky Fingers Cooking.
What a great place to take a break. And on the other side of the break, let's come back and dive more into what it is that you do, how you do it, and who should be considering taking a closer look at opportunities with you as you continue to bring Sticky Fingers all over the country. We're talking today with Erin Fletter, founder, CEO, Food Geek and Chief. What else do we call you, Erin?
Oh, I think 3 titles are enough. Food Geek and Chief is absolutely my favorite title.
All right, we'll let that one stand. This is Franchise Today. I'm Stan Friedman. Don't go anywhere.
Franchise Today will be right back. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Franchise Today is brought to you by FRM Solutions, offering the only CRM tool built exclusively for franchising that lets you have it your way. Whether you're a single brand needing professional tools across departments or a portfolio of brands needing franchise-specific CRM across the enterprise. Either way, FRM satisfies the needs of many with the power of one. That's right, one single instance of FRM is all it takes across departments or across brands. So if you've had it with inflexible, one-size-fits-all CRM, end your frustration today. FRM offers robust dashboarding, tailored reporting, and with open APIs, FRM pushes, pulls, and integrates with other databases, providing you with a single source of truth. Don't just take my word for it. Visit them at frmsolutions.com and order up a demo today. And more of my conversation continues with Erin Fletter, CEO and founder of Sticky Fingers Cooking School. But we're going to stick to that title of Food Geek in Chief. I love it. So, Erin, now that you've gotten this story behind us to tell us how we got to where we are today, what year did you join the IFA?
We joined the IFA the day after we got our first FDD approved. So we had been eyeing the IFA from the beginning. That was something, again, going back to working with the best people, having the best advisors. I reached out to the IFA well before we became a franchise brand and before our first FDD was released. I found out that we couldn't join the IFA as a franchisor until you had an FDD. So we signed up the day after we released our first FDD and it was approved. So that was quarter 4 of 2022.
What do we say to somebody in this audience that is on the fence about IFA membership?
Oh, I mean, there is no question about it. Being around professionals, having that sort of support sports, being able to attend all the different conferences and expos. And it's absolutely incredible. And to be able to have that knowledge base and to be able to have the years of experience behind it. The IFA also advocates for franchisees, franchisors, the whole franchise system. And the franchise business model is the most highly regulated business model in the US and can be quite confusing. I mean, I've been a business owner, a business leader, a business founder for many years, and this was a whole new thing to learn. I mean, I actually lovingly call franchise the franchise universe because it felt like a completely different universe. And, you need to learn all the different vernacular, the different vocabulary. I mean, it is something that is very important that if you're diving into franchise or dipping your toe into franchising, whatever it might be as a franchisor or a franchisee, is that you really have the resources to really understand what the franchise model is about.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I drink IFA Kool-Aid by the case, and I try to help people understand that in franchising, you're part of a community and an ecosystem that's different than any chamber of commerce or other organization you may belong to, because it's the only place that you'll find direct competitors in the same room sharing and caring. And IFA is like the mothership, and we all roll up to it. And those who don't join IFA don't get to drink that Kool-Aid, don't get the value proposition and the benefit of the synergy that franchising brings, which is the very root of the business model itself. So I like to give IFA a little bit of time every now and then. And when it's somebody like yourself that's so new to the business, it brings another perspective. And I'd like to do that as well for the audience. So thank you for sharing.
Oh yeah, I loved how you described that. And it's absolutely true. I mean, the franchise model at its core, when done properly, it's this beautiful symbiotic relationship with the franchisor and the franchisee. Their success is our success and vice versa. And Stan, I love how you brought that into like the larger ecosystem or universe, as I like to call it. That is, I mean, my whole team and I, we've been building Sticky Fingers Cooking as a team for well over a decade. And we just keep saying, like, we just keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like everybody in the franchise industry, I mean, at the nucleus, at the core, everybody is so supportive and champions each other and helps each other. I mean, it's just been really remarkable. And it really does showcase that relationship. It's really 100% based on relationships and that there's room for everybody. And I just love that.
So now with locations in Illinois, Texas, and Colorado as your home base, how are you managing support?
For our franchise owners?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So we had been a privately held company, as I said, with, 5 territories in 3 states. And our first 2 franchise owners were long-term employees with us. And it was just the biggest honor that they love Sticky Fingers so much that they decided to become our first franchise owners. So we have Allie in Austin and we have Lucy in Chicago, who has 2 territories. We also have territories in Northern Virginia, and we also have a territory in San Diego. And then we have our home base here in Denver Boulder area in Colorado. And those are company-run outlets. This is also going back to what we were just talking about, the franchise industry as a whole. When done properly, it's really about these strong relationships. Stan, we are a children's cooking school, but at the core, we are 100% human connection relationship. We are a hospitality company. So we've been doing this from the ground up and from day one. So support has been baked into our culture from the get-go. So this was just a natural progression for us. We have an amazing team. We have an amazing C-suite team that from our COO to our chief of staff to our CFO and beyond. And we have incredible training systems. We have our new franchise owners come out to Denver and Boulder for the first week. And then we have ongoing support where we show people how to become business owners and business leaders and then how to run their business. We have tapered support. So it's a very heavy support up front. And then we kind of taper that off as our business owners are ready to fly. So support is something that is huge at what we do. It's also a huge component of why we started our Dash, which is our technology platform. It really supports and runs about 85% of all day-to-day operations in the business. So support is baked into everything we do.
And talk about the technology side of your business. Who are the brains behind that division?
Yes, it's all been in-house. And so many people are just kind of shocked to hear that Sticky Fingers Cooking is also a technology company. It started incredibly humbly from the beginnings, just from that kitchen table, same thing. Once we kind of we went from 3 schools to 30 schools relatively quickly here in the Denver area. And my father and I were making our own rosters, sitting up until 2 a.m. on Excel. That was something that we just couldn't do anymore. There wasn't any white label software out there that would really fit our needs, because we really wanted to get a lot of information about children to make sure that food allergies, things like that, to keep kids healthy and happy and safe. So it really started very humbly. It was just like I reached out to my network and just said, hey, I think that I need to build like a software system just for rosters. And it really kind of started there. And that was in 2012. And we have been a technology company ever since. So we just kept adding to it. And the technology platform has truly grown alongside of our business. And now today, I mean, it's an incredibly robust system that is now, it's gone through 3 iterations, 3 rebuilds, where we are now a national, if not internationally, poised for growth and to support our franchise owners. We have built-in KPIs. We have amazing systems, and it does everything from hold our IP. So we have thousands of recipes with supported curriculum. It holds all that. It's a CRM for parents and for schools. It texts our chef instructors where to go and how to get there every day. It literally does everything. It also does all of the financial reporting, invoicing, you name it. It pretty much does it.
Now, if anyone in the audience has any questions about why you are a rising star franchising this quarter on Franchise Today, I think you've done a pretty good job of explaining it, because you're doing all the right things, all the fundamental things, from the core competencies of the business and actually having people able to manage your business for a period of time without your involvement, taking yourself out of the business as you put franchisees in. And so you're checking every box for me, Erin, and I'm proud to have you here today. Let's talk some about your work in the franchising gives back sector of your life and benevolence.
Oh, Les Dames d'Escoffier. Yeah, that's a worldwide organization. Started in the 1970s. It's a nonprofit, and it's a group of women around the world that are all in the food and beverage industry. And it's a wonderful group to be in. There's a lot of giving back that goes into that group.
What about charity at the local level? Will your franchisees be rolling up in support of work that you do on behalf of Les Dames, or will there be local charities that you support in communities that you serve?
Yes, well, all of our female franchise owners, I'm proud to say that we've been hitting our goal of what we set out to do at the beginning when we went into franchising. 80% of our franchise owners are women. They're currently all mothers as well. One of them is also a military vet, which makes me incredibly proud. And 60% of our franchise owners are people of color. So really excited that we're helping to champion business owners that typically haven't had a voice, unfortunately, or a platform in the US. So that is really, really exciting. The other thing that all of our female business owners, they absolutely can join Les Dames Escoffier, and I've written them all letters of recommendation. And additionally, really from day one, I mean, those first 3 schools that we started in 2011 here in Denver, our very first class, we baked into our model to have scholarship spots in all of our classes. So we have never had a class. Like I said, we've taught so far 125,000 kids how to cook, and we have always offered scholarship spots in every single class that we've offered. That is something that is just part of the recipe of Sticky Fingers Cooking and our business model. So that is something that we teach our franchisees and our franchise owners. I mean, that's something that we do. We have always given back to the schools that we work with. I mean, we are a non-brick and mortar concept. So that means that we have an incredibly quick startup. We have very low overhead. We're able to have these secure margins as a business model for 13 years. I mean, they just remain absolutely solid. And so giving back is a part of a business model. And I'm proud to say that we've given $1.8 million back to the schools that we've worked with since 2011. So that is also what we do. Is we can't do this without the schools. We can't do this without the community centers and the public libraries everywhere that we cook. We can cook anywhere without a kitchen, and we go to where kids are, and it's all in our community. So giving back to the community is paramount to what we do. And it's absolutely the most exciting part of my training process that I have with each of the franchisees, is to really explain the why behind it and why it is so important to give back to the community and how great it feels as a business owner to do that.
Okay, before we get to contact information, here comes the toughest question of the day. Erin, what have I not asked you that I should have?
Oh, do you want to know what kind of recipes that we cook with kids, Stan?
If that's what I need to know, Bring it on.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to flip the script a little bit. What would you imagine that we would teach American kids? Like what sort of recipes?
International.
Oh, you nailed it. Absolutely. There's not going to be any chicken fingers in our class. Sometimes macaroni and cheese, but it might have like some vegetables in there or something. But no, we 100% we do international cuisine because, as I said a little bit earlier, I mean, food is our number one human connector. We all celebrate with food. We mourn with food. We were able to really explain who we are and where we come from in the world through our cuisine. And every week we have a different recipe. We've been doing this for 13 years. And we have what's called the recipe of the week. So coast to coast, it doesn't matter what school you're in, what community you're in, everybody's making the same recipe across the country. And it's one recipe every week. And it has changed every single week of the school year since 2011. So over 13 years. So you can imagine we have a lot of recipes. But these kids are making everything from scratch. They're sometimes in preschool, so 4-year-olds all the way up to 18-year-olds. And they're making everything from scratch, from Chinese bao buns to English pea soup with Yorkshire puddings, and their Calabrian ricotta polpette, little kind of vegetarian meatballs, to mushroom po' boys with Cajun remoulade. We do something like miso caramel pumpkin muffins, something that's kind of unusual, Mexican quesadilla, tacos. I mean, you name it, we want to cook it. And we have never run out of ideas. And we are just so excited to continue going forward. We've actually written 5 cookbooks since COVID. And that's because, which seems like a huge accomplishment, and it is, but since 2020, we have released 5 cookbooks. But it's really because we have these incredible recipes that we've come up with that are meant for children to prepare within an hour in our classes. And they can do the same thing from their own kitchens. And it's a beautiful thing to have a child come home from their Sticky Fingers cooking class and say, hey, I want to make Chinese bao buns. That freaks out most parents, but they don't, they don't say no. So this is a beautiful unintended byproduct of cooking with kids and teaching kids how to cook, is that they go home and they encourage their family to maybe make some things in the kitchen and even sit around the dinner table, hopefully more than once a month. It's wonderful.
One last ingredient that I think we need to add to the recipe, and that's your passion. And it's very evident in this conversation that your passion is robust, and it's an essential in any franchise business that you bring passion and money. And I don't know about your finances these days, but your item 19, I'm sure, speaks to that. Your voice speaks to your passion. What about some contact info, Erin? People are going to want to find you again.
Wonderful. Yes. A great place to start is our main website, which is StickyFingersCooking.com. And then from there, if you're interested in any franchise opportunities, we are open and ready in 45 states currently. And you can go to StickyFingersCookingFranchise.com. Yes, it's a mouthful. And you can find all the information about our franchise opportunities. We're very proud of our FDD and our item 19 as well.
This has been a fun conversation, Erin. I knew it would be. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing, the way you're doing it. It makes me proud to present Sticky Fingers Cooking School to my audience here on Franchise Today.
Thank you, Stan. And thank you for answering my LinkedIn. And thank you for being such a kind and supportive, wonderful mentor.
Thank you again, Erin. Well, that's a wrap for this week. Next week, we're joined by my partner, peer, and long-term friend, Graham Chapman, with some breaking news. Until then, I'm Stan Friedman, wishing you the best, the very best of all things franchising, and Franchise Today is out.
Franchise Today is a production of FRM Solutions, providing best-in-class CRM tools to empower relationships with prospective and existing franchisees. Find them online at frmsolutions.com. Join Stan every Wednesday at noon Eastern for another episode of Franchise Today.
When you're part of a military family, you understand sacrifice and support. So at American Public University, we honor your dedication by extending our military tuition savings to your extended family. Parents, spouses, legal partners, siblings, and dependents all qualify for APU's preferred military rate of just $250 per credit hour for undergraduate and master's level programs. American Public University. Value for the whole family. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.